Hello guys, my name is Chasm, and today welcome to today's Super Scuffed the Agent and Role Guide. Now, when it comes to these roles, I will say when it comes to the role I'm gonna currently show you, which is Duelist, which is the most popular role in Valorant. There are two types of duelists when it comes to their purpose and what they fulfill. First, we have the entry duelists, which would be Neon, Jett, Raze. The rest would be classified as a supportive duelist. Now, let me make the set the difference up. Oh, and I would say, to a certain extent, Yoru is kind of a weird one, because Yoru does have an ability that allows him to get to a space quickly. However, he doesn't move through the space, which is why it's a bit hard to classify him as entry duelist. Additionally, his ability takes quite a while for him to equip his weapon, so it doesn't really help him classify as entry duelist. But you could contest that fact that he is an entry duelist. Anyways, I'm gonna keep moving on. Okay, when it comes to the entry duelists are the duelists, the agents, who have the util and the abilities to quickly gain space. So they're able to enter an area with rapid movement and secure that space very quickly. Supportive duelists, or secondary duelists, second entry, whatever you want to call them, those type of duelists don't have the util to gain space quickly, but they have, I would say, significantly better util compared to the entry duelists when it comes to taking fights or setting up teammates for fights. So their main job is to, if you have them running, is to help your team, or sometimes you're running a double duelist comp, help your other duelists get set up for the fight. Okay, now since I've established the difference between the two types of duelists, let's start off with the entry duelists since they're the most popular. So let's start off with everyone's favorite character, Jett. Jett is an incredibly popular character due to her ability to dash and the strength of using her when playing the AWP. Now, let's start over the first ability, which is Cloudburst. Cloudburst, you get 2 charges, each one is 200 credits, and when you throw the Cloudburst down, it lasts for around 2 seconds. Now, what is the Cloudburst used for? Well, the Cloudburst is used for concealing either Jett, blocking off sight lines, or delaying the opponent, or helping the teammates cross. So for example, let's say I'm trying to enter C here, and I'm not worried about the mid side, I'm worried about logs. So I can block this off as I swing out. So I'm tucked in this corner, leave the smoke down, swing out, take the fight logs, and I'm now ready. And after I'm done taking the fight, now I can fight for mid side. Okay, as I'm pushing out, okay, I'm pushing out, okay, I'm worried about the backside here, so I throw smoke there, take the fight garage. Now I can move up and scale. It acts like a short smoke, which is honestly a lot stronger than most people think. The most common way to use the Jett smoke, however, is to throw it down and you just dash into it, which is also a good way. But after the nerfs of the Jett's Cloudburst, it's not as good. Now, after that, we have Jett's updraft. And Jett's updraft costs 150 credits. It costs 150 credits, and it's a repositioning tool, so you're able to take off this high angles, or you're able to, let's say you want to double up with a teammate, you're doubling up with a teammate who's holding from logs, and you can take the fight together with a high low. Another thing that you could use Jett's updraft for is for jump spotting. Well, personally, when I say jump spotting, what I like to do is, instead of jumping up as I peek, instead of pressing the updraft when I peek out, because that kills some of the momentum, what I like to do is I jump out, and right before I'm about to be exposed, That's when I hit the updraft, because that's when it throws off the aim. Because instead of going up like that, even though it's still a hard shot, you go, when you jump out in updraft, you go like this. Essentially, that's how the aim is gonna, that's how your body's gonna look like, which makes it hard to aim. And after that, what else good? Yeah, oh yeah, Jett's dash. Dash is her signature ability, and it's a very straightforward ability. It's where after that short 1 second activation time for 4 seconds, Jett is able to dash in any direction she's pressing her movement abilities to. So if you're moving forward, I'm dash forward. If I press back, she dashes back. If I press dash while she's moving left, she dashes left, and so on and so forth. The only thing the difference is that when Jett is standing still, she will dash forward regardless. So that's one of the reasons why you see a lot of those mistakes where they're like hopping, take a shot. They're like hopping, take a shot, and they actually dash forward instead of that. They probably mistimed it. Now, after that, we have Jett's ultimate. Jett's ultimate, Jett Knives, which is one of the strongest ults in the game because it's basically a tiny, a 5-bullet fangle. You're able to kill with 1 headshot, and it refreshes every time you get a kill with the left click. Why do I specify left click? Because with the right click, instead of firing each knife individually, you will fire the knives in a batch, just one entire burst. This is a left click, this is a right click. Now, here's an important note about Jett's left click, a lot of people forget about, is that you have a complete movement accuracy while moving. You don't get an accuracy while moving. And we'll touch on how to use this a lot better later. Yeah. Well, when you press right click, it's only refreshing because I have infinite abilities on. But if it wasn't for that, after your 1 kill, when you do a right click, it's gone. It's done. Now, let's move on to how tips and tricks you could use with each of the abilities. Well, with Cloudburst, you saw me demonstrate it earlier. With Cloudburst, even though it's lasting for only 2 seconds, it's very useful still. You could use it. Let's say you're fighting here on backside. Oh, they're about to push you. You could throw this. Oh wait, no, there. I need to change it. You could throw this little bad boy up, and now you've set up yourself with a nice little one-way. You could do the same here. You could set yourself up with a little one-way that you can take fights from. That's my personal favorite way to use Jett's Cloudburst. Additionally, let's say you are trapped back here in backside, and you're like, oh, I need to cross. You just run across, and now you're safely across, or you're at least concealed while you cross. That's one of my favorite ways to use it. You could, and not only that, but you could also use it to support your teammates. So let's say you have a Sova who's holding CTs, and like, oh, he's about to get pushed. So one way up. Oh, that's good. There we go. Oh wait, an important note I definitely missed. God, this is really the definition of Scuffed. Is when if you hold down C with her Cloudburst, the Cloudburst will follow your mouse to a certain extent. Not perfectly, but it will. You can control it if you hold down the C button, and to just let it keep going its destination, you just let go. Now, also, this must be noted, is that if you just tap it, it's not gonna travel in a straight line, just gonna throw it like a ball. So if you wanted to go farther, you have to hold it, and then once you let go, it will start dropping it like a regular projectile. Now, okay, now with Jett's updraft, it's typically used a reposition tool, but other times you can use it to take an advantageous fight. So let's say you cleared front sight and you know no one's there. So as Jett, you could throw a Cloudburst here, updraft. Now you're able to take fights from an unexpected angle, and you've smoked off, so you could take this fight here. It's not the most comfortable for everyone, but it's a very good way to enter, I believe, with some maps. Again, another one I mentioned before is you can use it to double up with a teammate, where let's say you're again someone's holding here, you have some other upper here like chamber, and you're holding here high. So now you're playing with a high-low. That's basically, the high-lows are nearly impossible to beat. The only way to stop a high-low is if you use a flash or some Muto to force them off the angle. That's the only way to beat it. That's how you break the high-low. Now, moving on to Jett's dash. With Jett's dash, there's two ways to use it. There's one where you use it to take space. You're aware of that. You could use it to take space or beat timings. When I say beat timings, shoot, it's not working again. Damn. Oh well. Yeah. When I say, and you can use it to beat timings to say about, oh, they're going through A, they're going through A. Okay, I'm running. Okay, they're about to take the site. You can dash up to gather that space quickly, so you can help your teammates on the site quicker. But again, that one I would say use at your discretion, because it's a bit contentious, I would say, because it's such a good ability. The most popular way to use it though is, especially on defense, is you take a very wide open angle, so you can take an unexpected fight, take a one shot, and then you dash out. You know, yeah, like you're right here in the open, you're holding it up, and then okay, cut, and now you dash out, stuff like that. Personally, I don't like that way to use it, where they're standing out in the open, because it's just bad positioning. But hey, to each their own, right? Now, with Jett, now let's move on to Jett's knives. Jett's knives, I said that there's a proper way to use this. How do you mean? Some people might say, what do you mean there's a proper way to use this? Or do you just kill people? Yes, you just kill people. However, what people fail to understand most of the time is the fact that, again, you don't have movement and accuracy with Jett's knives. They're perfect accuracy as long as, even when you're moving. So why is that? Well, most people, when they enter with this, or just take a fight, they're just gonna run in a straight line. They're just running in a straight line as they're fighting with the Jett knives. Why is that a bad thing? Well, because you're still, even though you're faster, slightly faster, because the Jett knives have the same running speed as the knife, you're still moving in a singular plane. So instead of having to aim like everywhere to make it hard, you're just aim like they have to aim like everybody else, just a bit faster, because they're going like this. They're just moving left and right, left and right, left and right. That's all they're doing. So how can we fix that? Jump. So let's smoke myself off here, and when I jump out of when I do this step, when I enter C long, when I smoke myself off here, I'm not just gonna run straight out and take the fight. No, because I'm easily gonna get one tap that way. I want to make it hard for them. When I smoke off, I jump out of the smoke. So when I jump out, I'm in a slightly higher position. So instead of having to shoot, let's say, let's pretend this box is me. Instead of having to shoot just like that, or tracking me left and right, I have to go like that. And how can you make this harder? Well, one is by jumping off of things. Let's say I take a fight. There you go. You have changed your elevation. Now they have, instead of shoot just like that or higher angle because you're on the platform, they have to track you downwards, which is a harder shot. It's not that hard for some people, but any level of increased difficulty is such a huge advantage to you, because you're able to fight back while they're moving, and they have to reposition, which might introduce some movement error. And another way you could do this, it was very popular, which was Jett double updraft, but that's gone now. But what you could do here is say, okay, they're going to see updraft, and then drop back down. Or if you want here in the black platform, you don't even have to updraft, just jump. And you're able to take a relatively safe fight with Jett's knives. And that's pretty much it, yeah. Jett is one of the strongest characters in the game for these specific reasons, because as you can tell, she's just very good at taking fights and getting out safely. Now let's I want to move on to a different character with a different. Who do we do? Let's do it with someone who's not as popular. Let's go with Neon. Now, Neon has, well, first ability. Neon is honestly not a very popular agent, because she requires some amount of mechanical skill with her specific kit before she's seen as useful. Well, it's okay. Honestly, I really love Neon just because of the movement ability. I'm a fan of movement games. Anyways, yeah. First, Neon's ability is Fast Lane. Fast Lane is a long two-sided wall, or two walls. It's basically an alleyway of where your wall can pass through. Now, how do you wall properly? A lot of people miss this. It's the same for a lot of walls where there is a projectile, and like the Phoenix wall, this will stop when the wall will stop when the projectile hits something. So let's say I want to wall towards that end there. If I wall like this, it's gonna stop at that box. It's gonna stop at that little wall thing. But if I want to hit that, what I can do is aim slightly higher, so the projectile goes over and actually reaches that end. As you can see, I can shoot it straight up, and you'll see the projectile shoot out. You saw that little projectile? That's where it is. The wall follows the trail that the projectile leaves. This is good for but by the way, yeah, Fast Lane. Each wall you get one, and it costs 300 credits, and I'll show you how to use it at the end of Neon's guide or ability breakdown. Next, what you got is Relay Bolt. Now, Relay Bolt is honestly, I would say honestly one of the best abilities in the game, because you're able to stun while being active. So this is what really helps Neon takes fights. Let's say, oh, okay, I want to fight Garage. There you go, and you're able to take a fight Garage without much trouble. Now, what does Relay Bolt do? Well, Relay Bolt, first of all, costs 200 credits. You can get up to 2. And what happens is, as you can see, in a small area around it, it will stun people. And however, it will stun the first object it hits, and after it bounces, it will stun that area where it lands next. It will only bounce once, but it will bounce off of any solid object, not including players but some solid utility, like such as Satan. Now, a very important thing to note is that Neon Stun will hit anything below it, will stun below it, regardless of where you hit it. So let's say if I threw the Neon Stun here, it will still stun below it. As you can see, it's right up here. I still get stunned. Regardless of where I throw it, it will stun where below it. So if you want to get creative, you could do something like that, to stun CT. I should also note, even though it looks like it fires in a straight line, it's really just a fast-moving projectile. There is drop on it, so if you want to make it reach a certain distance, you have to aim upwards. Now, moving on to Neon's fun part is her slide. Or what is it called? Yeah, it's called Higher. Well, that's where she's able to run. She has an increased movement speed, the fastest movement speed in the game with this, especially so with the stim beacon out. And if she has it available, that little bar, you are able to slide. And just like every duelist ability, every 2 kills, it will refresh that slide. Slide has even faster movement speed, however shorter distance, and you have the animation to come crouch off. Think of it as kind of a lower dash, I guess, you know? After that, you have Neon's ult, which I won't demonstrate, which actually no, I can demonstrate now, which is basically a ray gun that has fall-off damage. Neon's ult has been changed quite a bit since release, and back then it used to do basically the same damage across the entire person's body, but that was deemed way too strong, so they nerfed her. So now that the strongest way to use her ult is to make sure you get the headshot, because that deals the most amount of damage, and as I said before, there is fall-off damage that's quite noticeable. So when you use Neon's ult, you don't want to be doing like Sniper Neon, where you're the back is C-side and you're trying to take a fight against an op at C-long. You're just not gonna win. Okay, now let's move on to how you can use their abilities, Neon's abilities. So how does one use this? Well, first of all, for fast lane, you can use it basically as a tiny Viper wall, where you can section off sites, so you can more methodically, you can help your teammates methodically take site. So you put the fast lane up, okay, I know someone's there in back sites, so flash through it, then you can peek out. Or you can use it in conjunction with your relay bolt. You're able to take that fight while the enemy is stunned. Additionally, another thing you can do is basically, again, use it as a tiny wall. Okay, oh, you're tucked in this little corner, you got scanned, oh, you need to get out. Shoot this, or if you want, you make it even tighter. Okay, but this little divot here. Just so, you know, just so you're able to cross out, you're able to... Additionally, you don't have to use it for yourself, you can also use it for teammates. Personally, one way I like to use it sometimes, when I'm playing Neon, the rare occasion I play Neon on Haven, is you could do something like this, where you wall like that. What does this do? It just makes it harder for them to take the site, because now they have to cross this wall where they don't know who's on the other side. This is the reason why this is good, in my opinion, is because it's quite similar to the Viper retake wall for Sea and Garage. It's pretty good. Now, what else can we do? With the relay bolt, the thing you could do is, as I said before, you could aim upwards to set yourself up. So, let's say, oh, you want to take the fight, you know somebody's gonna plant, oh yeah, you know someone's gonna cross there. So one thing you can do is aim the relay bolt there, just to take, so you can easily take that fight. Same could be said as if you're entering the site. Like, okay, you're worried about somebody logged, so you can aim here. Yeah, it just, honestly, think of it as a Sova dart. If you're able to calculate where Sova darts go without needing some sort of graph or something, you should be able to work it out, because it bounces the exact same way. If you look straight at a wall, it'll come straight back at you. If you look at it at an angle, it'll bounce off at an angle. You know, just simple geometry, I'd say. Now, with Neon's dash, or slide rather, that's where it becomes a bit more complicated. Neon, I believe, is best used with B-hopping. B-hopping is the mechanic of where you time your jump as you land, so you can conserve momentum as you jump. Because if you don't conserve the momentum, you can actually slow down like this. Some people personally recommend using the scroll wheel to jump to make it easier. Personally, I don't. Because I find it actually harder to time if I'm using the scroll wheel, which is why I personally like to use this jump. I just learned to practice to do the timing. Now, why is it better? Well, again, just as I mentioned with Jett, that extra elevation just makes it so much harder to hit. But additionally, it is much unpredictable, because one thing people don't know is, well, when it comes to Neon, if you equip the run and you move backwards, you can't slide backwards. You can slide to the right, slide to the left, cha-cha real slow. I'm sorry, that was just immediately what went in my head. With that, with the jumps, as soon as you land, you are actually able to directly affect your input to in which direction you slide. What do I mean by that? Because I'm entering. Oh, bad fight. Oh, I got it wrong. Sorry. Yeah, it takes a... Even though I play a lot of Neon, I would say, you can mess it up. Okay, jumping up. Like that. There you go. As you saw that, which is a backward slide. As soon as you land, that's honestly a tough timing. Basically, I have to explain is, let's say, without the dash, because I'm running low on it. As I'm running up. As soon as I land, you need to press the back button and the right click, or whatever activates your slide, at the exact same time. You have to be careful with the timing where you don't press the back input while you're in the air, because that kills your momentum. And Neon's slide is unique in that it has a requirement to activate. You need to be moving. You need to be moving at least in forward, left, or right direction. So basically, if I were to compare it to something, it's kind of like a mix-up when it comes to fighting games, where when you're jumping, as soon as you land, you could go forward, back, left, and right, which creates a sense of unpredictability, which is also super good. See, I messed up there. There we go. Like stuff like that. You're able to be unpredictable. And honestly, me going like that when you're running, firstly, I don't think it helps that much. I just like to do it because I got used to it. Oh, by the way, here, that's another thing. If you want to do something called a double slide, you can use Neon's ult for that, actually. It's super interesting. Because Neon's ult refills your entire charge meter. However, when you do use Neon's ult, the charge meter for her electricity, I guess, her energy, will continuously run down even if you're not equipping it. So why is that important to mention? So, you know, you could use it to create some very cool moving tricks. So I'm jumping up. So you could basically create a very long dash there. You could chain it together. You know, something like that. Right? Makes it pretty cool. Another thing to say, the reason why there's a downside to this is that you are completely locked in the animation, much like a Jett dash. However, the way to use this, sometimes, unlike a Jett, which is to cross into the safe spot, the slide is usually used to slide out of your walls, so you're not as safe. That's why I think it's you have to be careful and set yourself up with utility before you slide into the fight. Okay, now moving on with, I would say, the best, in my opinion, the best duelist for generally. This is my personal favorite duelist. Yeah, or my second favorite duelist, I would say, honestly. It will be Raze. Raze, in my opinion, is the most versatile character. Raze is the most versatile character in the cast. Why? Because she has a ability to clear out angles, she has ability to delay, she has movement abilities, she has post-plant util. She is, again, just for that specific reason, one of the most versatile. Because as you saw, Jett is mostly has a lot of util for taking fights. Neon has a lot of util for cutting up sights and taking that space. Raze has, while not being able to cut off sidelines like the other entry duelists to a certain extent, she's able to deny the space that gives the enemy sideline. Now, let's talk about this. Her util. First util is Boomy or Boomba, however you want to call it. Roomba. Everyone has a different name for it. It is a Roomba with a certain space of it. Within a certain space of its FOV, it will detonate or trigger, and it will chase opponents or enemies with a higher tracking speed. But however, it doesn't do much damage. About, let's say, if I'm correct, it was like 80, just around the 80 damage, which is why I think it's, you know, pretty useful. You can use it to clear tight corners. So let's say, oh, you're worried about somebody hugging this corner. The thing you could do is bounce it off that wall, and once it bounces off here, you're able to clear it because it's going to track someone. Or let's say you're worried about somebody being this little wall here. Throw the Roomba out, you're able to clear it out, stuff like this. You know, stuff like that. It just makes her very useful. And you can use it to, so yeah, it's a very good, I would say, it's not really for dealing damage, it's mainly for gathering info. That's its main use for it. It used to be a lot stronger due to the ability of it to just last for a really long time, but they nerfed it to like 4 seconds, which is honestly kind of needed. Again, you could use it for that. You could use it for a lot of things. If you're worried about the specific corner, everyone is scared of that corner, as far as I know. And there you go, you cleared it. It follows this straight line, but will bounce off. Again, just like every other utility that has a bounce, it will bounce off accordingly to how you throw it. So if you throw it like this at this angle, it will return at that same angle, but the opposite direction. Now, the more complicated part of her kit, honestly, there's about new ones, I would say, is her blast pack. Her blast pack is a knockback utility. I don't want to say movement, because there's so much more to it than just movement. It's a knockback utility that is able to knock you back or opponents back, and after a short activation time, it will deal damage to opponents. After you saw that green light just light up and stay steady, you are able to able to deal damage. If I'm correct, it scales as long as to how long it goes. Yeah, that's basically how it goes. And what else can we talk about? Oh yeah, the nade. Raze's nade is one of the strongest abilities in the game, with a left click and a right click. Raze's nade is a cluster bomb type effect, which is why, in my opinion, even though it can kill, it's mainly used for area denial, because it takes quite a bit of time off the opponents. But as I throw it there, they'll deny the initial explosion, and then they'll wait for it there. They'll wait for it to detonate. And then after that, we have Raze's rocket, which is basically a tiny precision nuke that everyone hates to use because it always somehow misses. I'm gonna give you some tips on how to hit that a lot better. Alright, now let's start off with how to use the util. The Boomy or Ruba, it's honestly pretty much it. It's very good for clearing out those tight angles. So you're worried about this one, you just jump out, the jump spot, and now you can clear out that angle safely. Okay, you're worried about this spot, send the boom out, and then, or actually I would send it back here, give it some time to activate, and give yourself some time to prepare yourself for the fight, just in case they swing out to beat the Boomba. The only trick I would give is that you can actually do something. You can do something like a weird boost with the Boomba. Let me show you. Do it here. Okay, no, that's a bit too close. But yeah, imagine that as a thing you could do, where you're able to throw off the enemy's crosshair placement of it by using the Raze Boombot as using a Raze Satchel. You can combo them together. It's honestly quite a very fun way to use it, in my opinion. It creates a way of unpredictability. So you can do it here. Stuff like that. If you're worried about this specific angle and you don't want to cross it, but you do have an extra satchel you're willing to use, you can use it to bounce it off that. You know? Or let's say you want to clear out, below heaven, so you throw this out. Oh shit, I did not time it right. Get that one right this time. There we go. And it bounces out, and now you're able to clear this front part of sight without having to throw the Boombot here, which is a very common spam spot. Now, Raze's Satchel. As I said before, I don't want to call it a movement ability because there's so much more to it. Now, what else is it used for? Well, there's a lot of things. But movement is 100% one of the things it's used for. What is it used for? Well, a lot of times it's used for the double satchels. You use it for double satchel moves. I would like to say though I am a bit rusty on the double satchels. I haven't done it in a while because it's honestly super overrated in my opinion. Double satcheling is a very overrated movement. But it's fun, but it's not honestly as effective as most people think. It's actually most high-level Razes don't use a double satchels because you're not able to take the gunfight as effectively. After they have the utility, most of the time, as you can see with Jing, he just uses a single flashback to close that distance. Let's say you're entering, you throw the blast back down. You're not gonna double satchel into backside, that's too much. Just single satchel and you're able to fight for backside quite effectively. The double satchel is honestly more of a gimmick, I would say. And that's coming from a person who loves playing Raze. That's another thing you could do, is Raze's Satchel. Again, it's a knockback util. So I can use it to gain some elevation. Let me just try and do that again. Let's say you want to get to heaven. Jump. Shit, I keep messing it up. But yeah, you could use it to gain more elevation, access higher points. You know, if you have infinite ability on, you can use it to fly. It's very nice to get some unexpected angles. So I think you can reach it here. Yeah, if you crouch down, you're able to reach the top of that. As I told you also before, you're able to use this for taking those really quick space. Something like that. But on top of that, you're also able, when it comes to using it yourself for the util, you can use it for something called Satchel Peek. The Satchel Peek is basically a peek where you use the satchel's knockback to speed up your swing. Personally, I like to put it around the middle of the player model and not above here or below. The reason why I don't like to do it below, as you saw there, it bounces you up and you're not able to take the fight as clearly, but to a certain extent where you know where they are and you're not afraid of taking that fight, it could be useful because you're not easiest to track because you do it a little hop. And also like doing above the player head because the blast is directed downwards, forces you into the ground, which increases friction, and you don't travel as far. As you can clearly tell. I did not even do that right, bro. But yeah, after that, another thing that's very useful is, let's say you have the bomb that's planted here, and you need to delay as much as possible whatever you smoked off. You can use a satchel, and personally I just like to just let it sit there. I don't even detonate it, so they have to worry about it because it's gonna knock them off. Regardless, when it activates, it's gonna knock them off. That's a very, I think, underrated way to use it. Additionally, let's say you're holding short here, you throw the satchel out, you can use it to delay and buy yourself some time. So yeah, like you throw the nade, you throw first satchel out, detonate it, throw another satchel out, detonate it, throw this nade for long, so you can delay yourself, take a fight, stuff like that. There's a lot of use. It's very useful to delay opponents and give yourself some time to just survive. So your team can come in for the rotate, or you can get out for the retake. So yeah, stuff like that, honestly. Now let's move on to Raze's nade. For Raze's nade, there's honestly not much to it. It's a grenade that's even though it's not really just like every nade or molly, I believe, it's not really for the kills, but you can with the util combo. It's mainly to punish opponents for bad positioning and just not being able to properly calculate or take note of your utility. It's mainly a space denier, so if you wanna, I would say they're running up A long, just you can bounce it off that wall, and that will deny the space for quite a bit. One thing you could do that a lot of people don't do enough is answer util for util. So let's say you're holding your backside and like, oh, okay, Reyna blind, throw the nade. Throw the nade down, they're about to execute, you throw the nade down, and that denies them the follow-up from the Reyna blind. You just wasted their util, but using a free util of your own, and it's just, when it comes to doing that, you want to do it util for util. That's the rule. When you use the util, it's... When you answer util for util, by the way, it's not util for gunfight ever. You don't ever want to answer util for gunfight. You want to answer util for util, gunfight for gunfight. That's the proper way to do it. Okay, well, yeah, I actually forgot to mention this. So when it comes to Raze satchels, when you are doing the double satchel, looking straight down will give you the most speed. It's mostly for the speed, because the satchel will end up more behind you, so it'll push you forward. However, you do want some elevation, you have to look up, so the satchel ends up more below you. As like so. So you can make the two difference here. There you go, you can see the difference. Looking just straight down, very fast, but not a lot of height. If I go this, as you can see, if I look up, it creates quite a bit of height and distance at the same time. It's honestly mix and match. You can leave that decision to yourself. Another thing about Raze's nade is that it actually detonates quicker the moment it hits something. So let's say you do want to delay some util, you don't want to throw it off this type of wall because it's able to just stay. It's up in the air for longer, so the fuse doesn't activate as quickly. If you want to throw it, you could do a little something like this, bounce it off the wall. But it impacts a wall a lot sooner, and the fuse starts and it's able to detonate quicker. Same thing goes for the secondary charges of her nade. As you can see, the fuse only starts once it hits the ground. Compared to if you launch it here at the ground, basically instant. So keep that in mind when you're throwing that nade. Now, let's talk about Raze's tactical new. Tactic her ult takes a bit of time to equip, so you have to keep that in mind. Even after equipping it, already after activating it, there is a slight equip time. So how can you fix that? Well, honestly, there is no fix. You just have to be able to take those fights even just intelligently. There is one way though to fix it, but it's a lot harder, where you do an animation cancel with the second satchel. You call the second satchel out, where you have to press the satchel button and the ult at the same time. But the thing is, as you saw there, with the first satchel, it doesn't work. But with the second satchel, for some reason, I didn't even do it right there. See, it's a bit trickier to time, so it might be useful to use a keybind for that. Or a macro. Actually, no, not a macro. Those are actually not allowed by Riot. So yeah, you might want to be able to do something like that to do that animation cancel. I'm not a fond of it because I prefer just taking that smarter, more intelligent fight. Now, first of all, when you're using a Raze rocket, if you see an opponent, don't shoot it at them. You want to shoot it at a surface near them. So let's say if they're here, back there, don't shoot it here, don't shoot it here, don't shoot it there, shoot it here. That's where you want to shoot it, because it will still affect that area. Now, when it comes to Raze ult, one thing that people always misunderstand is like, oh, I use it, I have to get a kill, I have to get a kill. No. Area denial is already a good enough way to use it. As you can see, it lasts for quite a bit of time. So let's say they ult onto... Let's just get that off. Okay, you fire, they reach ulted C. So how do you stop that push? You press your ult. And as you're holding it, they're afraid to push in because they don't want to get aced. So as soon as you get hit with reload, you can pop this or the fade ult, and you're like, okay, where are they? Where are they? Okay, don't spot. Oh, okay, they're there, they're here, they're here. They're not there yet. Okay. And as the timer runs out, that's when you can fire it off, just to really, really delay that push and follow up their own util. Again, as I said, util for util, ult for ult. So as I said again, if they use the breach ult, you pop the Raze ult. Use a fade ult, you use a Raze ult. You can use that answer to stop them from being able to rush in however they want. Now I'm gonna move on to another duelist that I said is, well, under contentiously might or might not be an entry duelist. I personally would like to argue not, even though he's able to take the space quickly. His kit isn't as well-rounded for taking those moves. Now, with Yoru, he has his fake out as his first ability, which is a clone that follows him and works in a straight line. When shot by an opponent, it will turn and flash in the direction it was shot from. Okay, now if we're doing that, and here's a little note that's actually very useful, I would say, is that your movement speed as Yoru is actually slightly slower. Let's say I just move straight. I'm not even gonna touch my mouse. I just press left click and I'm walking. As you can see, I'm slowly catching up to Yoru. Yoru's clone has a slightly slower movement speed, though this is not a way to tell it. Because, I mean, who's gonna notice? Like, truly. No one's gonna notice that. Another thing about Yoru is that Yoru's clone is that it will follow whichever gun you are using. So if you hold a classic, you can see he's holding the classic. If you're holding your knife out, there used to be a bug where it would just have his hands outstretched. However, it's not like that no more. I think actually wait. Let's see. Okay, knife out. Yeah, no, it just defaults to the next weapon you have. Let's see if I get rid of that. There it is. As you can see, he's running with his knife out. There you go. That's typically not supposed to happen. There used to be a bug in where it was actually just an empty hand, and he just had outstretched hands, kind of like he was detained. Now, the interesting thing about his clone is that it actually does get scanned. It gets treated like a real person, and by everyone's ult. So let's say ISO grabs, uses ult, you can pop that out, and it could grab Yoru's clone. Which is bad for ISO, because you just wasted an ult for 100 credit ability. But yeah. With Yoru's clone again, you can throw a left click to immediately manifest it and it starts moving on its own, and right click is where you place it down and you can use it for a later time, and press F on said ability where you place it down to activate it and have it move forward. And okay, afterwards, now let's talk about Yoru's blind side. Yoru's blind side is honestly one of the strongest flashes in the game. Why is that? Well, let me show you. Because when you throw it, as you see that little orb, that is not visible to the opponent. It'll only be visible as soon as it hits the object. So technically, it could be some sort of pop flash. So let's say you want to pick C long. I could throw it against this wall, so it pops. You're gonna see it here in a little bit. It pops out. It pops as nearly as soon as it comes out of it. Additionally, it does pop at a certain height. It does pop above you and slightly behind you if you look straight down. So if you're in a smoke, you could, as you're being right here, you walk up to the smoke, throw it up, and you're able to flash out the smoke effectively. Additionally, as I said before, this isn't visible when you throw it. So you could use it to fake people out or set people up, which is what comes with the combos, which I'll talk about later. Oh yeah, an important thing to note is when you throw the Yoru blindside, the better you have two of them, is that when you throw it, it doesn't necessarily just go straight out. If you hit it against a flat surface and a flat angle, it will go up slightly. Because you can see, it kind of has like a floating effect where it slows down and slowly goes up. It's only slight, but it might be something you want to take into note. So instead of destroying it like that, where it lands, you want it to land a bit lower instead of a bit higher, because it'll be easier to accidentally flash your teammates. Now, next is Yoru's Gate Crash. Yoru's Gate Crash, Gate Crash is not really a movement ability, it's a repositioning ability, in where you can throw out a dimensional point in where it will continually move forward, or if you choose to, if you press right click, it will replace it, put it in your spot, and you can teleport it to a later time. This, remember, as I said, is not a movement ability, but it is in fact it is a repositioning ability, because movement ability would consist of you being able to move through a space quickly. This does not allow you to move space quickly, but it will move you to a position instantly. Not really instantly, but you get what I mean. Now next is Yoru's ult. Yoru's ult is Dimensional Drift. Dimensional Drift is an underrated part of the ult. It's where basically Yoru can equip a mask that makes him invulnerable to any form of damage. However, he can still be affected by util, certain util. One thing you could do here is, as soon as you... It's very important to notice, while you're in Dimensional Drift, you are invisible. However, one thing that you will need to know is the info that is important to know what Yoru's ult is that when you ult, the enemy's screen wilts, so you have this bluish effect around the edge too. When you are directly looking at them. If you aren't looking at them, they will not have that effect. So that could be an important detail. Let's say, okay, you see somebody here, you know he's there, you don't want them to know that you know where he is. You don't look at him, until you throw that dude out. And additionally, on top of that, when you use Yoru, there used to be an animation cancel on the side, I don't know if it's still here, and where you could press X and use a flash at the same time. Okay, that one's gone. There used to be an animation cancel where if you use that at the exact same time, it would cancel the animation of your pulling out of his ult. But yeah, no, they fixed. Looks like they fixed the animation cancel. Anyways, let's move on to the tips and tricks with Yoru's abilities. Because there's with Yoru's TP, by the way, you can, this used to be a bug, but now it's a feature in where you could use it to create a fake teleport. When Yoru throws his teleport and activates it, whether it's a fake or a real one, it'll have this little blue spot thing. That was a fake one. Now I'm gonna teleport to it. Oh wait, that's fake here. Oh wait, no. Wait, did it change it? Okay, I guess they changed. See what I'm talking about with Scuffed? They changed it apparently. When you use it, it doesn't. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, apparently it doesn't leave a spot anymore. I think that was just in the PBE, I guess. Anyways, yeah, let's move on to the tips and tricks with Yoru. With Yoru's clone, honestly, most people don't fall for it because they're aware of that clone, and doing the fake clone is kind of risky because you just leave yourself exposed and unsupported. So most people don't even try to do that anymore after his rework happened, because I was just aware of that trick. So one thing I personally like to use that's a lot trickier and I think a lot smarter is using Yoru's clone as a shield. So when I'm taking that fight, I'm tracking behind Yoru's clone. So let's say I want to move up and swing, so I take this fight. So I'm taking that fight as Yoru's walking across. You could do this for a lot of different things. So let's say you want to peek long, so you could just do that. And you can use yours as a shield, because when they shoot Yoru's clone, they get flash, and you can take an even more advantageous fight. Now with Yoru's blind side, as I said before, I'm gonna talk about this in conjunction with a bunch of other util. Like, first of all, you could the very famous Yoru TP flash combo. The tip I would give with Yoru's TP flash combo, so you never accidentally flash yourself unless you're looking in the wrong direction, is to take the TP as soon as the flash hits something. As you can see there, let's do it somewhere closer. I'll take the TP as soon as it hits the wall. There you go, as you saw there, you're not gonna get flashed. Because once it hits a flash, there is only a short wind-up time. So if you take the TP, due to the difference of the animation for the TP to actually you teleporting, by the time you teleport, most of the time, like 99% of the time, you're not gonna end up blinded. Now let's another thing about this that a lot of people don't know how to do, because Yoru's kit isn't a reason why it's again not based on, it's not considered an entry duelist. I don't consider him an entry duelist. Is that he is all about trickery. He's all about deceiving the opponent. He's all about those mind games. Let's say you're playing in a clutch and he doesn't know exactly where you are. One thing you could do is throw a flash towards backside. As I said before, they don't see that, so you're able to use the util off of backside, so you're able to, oh, he's coming from backside. Of course, people who are aware of Yoru's kit will be aware of where that could come from. Okay, now speaking of that, since Yoru's flash bounces, you could use it to set yourself up in little tricky angles. Like somewhere like here. Let's say you're holding back sight, you're worried they're about to push you. So you ask your teammates to come when they're out. You could throw this flash out and now you're able to take the fight effectively. You do the same thing for a lot of different spots. Like there's a spot on bind I could show sometime. There you can be crouching behind this. Okay, they're coming, flash out. Now you're able to take that fight very, very easily. When it comes to your flash again, you have to remember it bounces and that's when it activates. A very personal flash that I like to use is like I would like to hold close onto a wall and I would throw this towards the center of where I'm about to peek. So when it bounces out, it flashes like right here. So instead of throwing it like this, where it goes a bit farther out, gives them some time to dodge, if I look at the distance and I throw the flash here, which is basically the middle point between where I'm standing and the edge of the corner, just throw it out and I can quickly swing out without them having a lot of time to react. Another thing you do that's a lot safer though, that's great for teammates too, is you can bounce it off walls. Something like that, popularized by Red. Now with Yoru's TP, a personal thing I like to do, again, you hear me say a lot about it in the clutch. That's because Yoru's strength is really in the clutch and because of the mind game ability he has. So as you're peeking out low, you're about to take that fight. When you take that fight, I personally like to use the teleport fake. Should I say swing out? I press the fake because he hears the sound cue and he has to check it because he doesn't know. I haven't peeked out yet. There's a slight delay between my peek and me. Let's say, okay, I'm about to swing backside. Right before I swing, hit the fake teleport. He has to check it. Or he has to make a gamble where he either has to check it or he just ignores it. Either way, I'm in a disadvantage because now he's not as confident in himself. And confidence is key when it comes to taking gunfights. Now, when it comes to using Yoru's ult, the thing that I don't think I mentioned is the fact that you can use util. So when you're ulting in, you could possibly go into like a smoke and you can press your ult, and also after that you release a fake out or when your ult help set your teammates up, or you can call ults out so that you're entering sightbound. Okay, Soba, be ready to ult on me. Ult, and he will just aim at you and you're able to track the opponent, so you're basically you're an indestructible Sova dart. Another way I personally love to use it is to clear out Viper's ult. Say Viper ults on A and you're trying to clear it out to increase a retake, so you ult, okay, you found Viper, shoot me, and you can just body block the Viper and you can just let them keep tracking you so you can kill the Viper. Again, that's pretty much Yoru. Yoru's kit revolves around deception and the mistakes of the opponent. And they force that mistakes by being super tricky with their util. That's truly what it is. Now, honestly, yeah, that's that's the, I guess, quote-unquote entry duelist. Yoru, I would argue, is more of the support duelist. Now, I want to move on to the other duelists. Let's see who's next. Okay, let's move on with the new character, ISO. ISO is a very odd agent. He's a very odd agent where he's able to take space safely, but not quickly. But, well, his shield is one. You're able to move behind it, and you're able to scale behind it. Honestly, as I said before, most of his util isn't really... Honestly, it's not good. It's hard to even set himself up for it, because he doesn't give himself that much of an advantage. Much. One thing I does like a bit about ISO is the fact that his wall is angled instead of being flat. So there are areas where you can get shot from and you won't notice because of that, because the angle is going closer to you. Anyways, with ISO's first ability, it has contingency, where it's an unbreakable shield wall that you can follow up behind on. To say that your movement speed is slightly faster than it. We can talk about its uses afterwards. Now, next after that, we have Undercut. Undercut is a haircut, I'm just kidding. Undercut is a throwable utility, very similar to Omen's Blind. That instead of blinding characters, it will vulnerable them, any character caught in it. I will say that means also teammates involved. It's quite a large and weird shape, where it's kind of like an orb, so it actually can catch teammates if they're like right beside you, just to an extent. It's kind of weird. Now next after that is to ISO's kit is double tap. Double tap allows you to take that fight. When you use double tap, I can't display because I don't have another player with me. When you use double tap is when you get a kill or help kill an enemy by dealing enough damage, an orb will spawn somewhere around them, and you can shoot that to gain a shield that will absorb 1 instance of damage. When you absorb that 1 instance of damage, it will break the shield, and I will say this, that the shield has a large hitbox, so it should be noted. So let's say you have that shield. If you're holding here, some players wouldn't be able to see you. However, your shield will be seen. They can shoot it without actually ever hitting you. And by the way, the shield, when I say instance of damage, it means anything. It could be fall damage, it could be team damage. It will damage you. Now, okay, let's move on to ISO's ult. ISO's ult is Kill Contract. Kill Contract forces you into arena. So it forces you into arena to do to the death with the player by stealing them away. And it should be noted that when you use Kill Contract, your shield and health will be refilled back to 100 during that duel. Same with your ammo. Now let's talk about how to use this kit. Now with contingency, honestly I don't see much use for it because it's just very finicky. But one way I found use of it when I was making comps for Premiere is as I throw up this ISO ult, or this ISO wall, Reyna comes up behind it and she throws the blind up, gives it time to activate. So when we're pushing up, the Reyna eye is revealed incrementally to the site, and they're not able to break it in time, so they're instantly blind as soon as it pops out from behind, or as soon as the ISO wall moves far enough. Now with contingency, as I said before, it's really used to set up your teammates. So one thing I like to do is I like to set the teammates up, just like the Omen blind here from short. As we take short control, it's like, okay, ready to vulnerable backside, so I can press there. I was like, okay, 3, 2, 1, execute. You can throw the blind out and put vulnerable people backside, so you can teammates pushing up long can able to take the fight a lot easier. Or you can use it for the retip. Okay, they're out from CP, throw that vulnerable out, so now they take double the damage. But double tap, it's honestly super straightforward. You can use it to take just 1 extra fight, I guess. It just makes those fights a lot easier. But as I said before, I don't see much value in it. Much like, honestly, it's honestly, in my opinion, ISO's worse than Reyna. ISO is a worse agent than Reyna because of that fact. But I do want to move on to Kill Contract. Kill Contract, despite it being a 1v1, which is what you never want to do, it can be useful in some cases. I will state that. So let's say you're attacking and you know where the Cypher is, and Cypher is being, you know, a douche, and you can't enter because of him, so you track him and you ult him off. And because when you grab someone with your ult, the Kill Contract, their util gets disabled. They're not able to use their util anymore. Why? Because it kind of acts like a KO suppression, and where the ult suppresses their util, so all of Cypher trips, all KJ trips, all the chamber trips will just die. And on top of that, I think a very good way to do it is to counter the chamber op, because like I said, it acts like a suppression inside the ult and outside. So when you grab chamber and he's opping using his ult, you basically take away his op, and now all he has is classic or whatever his secondary is, or if he has a primary weapon, that's gonna be his weapon, which is, I think, pretty good. Now I can't demonstrate it here, but let's demonstrate it with a wall. In my opinion, the best way to allow people when they take the fight in ISO's ult is they just wide swing out because they want to get that peeker's advantage, right? Which is not necessarily wrong. However, what they fail to do is something what you call where they mental projection, was where they project that they win the fight, where they mentally think and prepare themselves to swing and take that fight. So what I like to do, let's pretend this is it, is when that shield goes down, that's when I swing. I swing out and shoot. I prepare myself mentally. See, this is, I'm ISO, and this is one of the walls. I was like, okay, 3, 2, 1. prepare myself, and I swing. And that, honestly, I haven't lost a single ISO duel yet because of that fact, I think. Because I'm taking the time to prep myself mentally, gather the info of, okay, is he swung to the left, did he swing to the right? And I'm able to make that decision, and I'm calmly able to adjust and aim my movement. Again, I'm sorry that ISOs was just not as complicated, but it's just because ISO isn't as usual focus as the other duelists. Now let's move on to another popular one, which would be Reyna. Now with Reyna's abilities here, I think I can show it off some time using a different clip, but I don't know. I don't think I have a Reyna because I don't like playing Reyna because her Jutsu, let's be honest, is not very team-based. She has one decent Jutsu for team, and it's her Leer. Her Leer costs 250 credits, and you can buy up to 2. After that, you have Devour and Dismiss, which technically fill the same spot, but you can use it for either. Eat both. You get one Dismiss for free because it's her signature ability, but you can buy another one for 200 credits. So what is Leer? Leer is a near sight. That is important to find the distinction. It is a near sight, and I apologize, it is not a blind. Why is that important? Because let's say you throw this down and an enemy is here. If you stand like right here, right in front of them, they will still see you because they're nearsighted. They're not blind. They're not flashed. So it's important to make the distinction. Now, additionally, what is the main purpose of Reyna's Leer? If you're playing solo duelist, the main purpose for Reyna's Leer is not truly to nearsight the enemy, but to throw out their crosshair placement. Because it is a strong nearsight, because it has no range anymore. So let's say you're about to enter sight, you're in the smoke, you throw the Leer up here, and it will nearsight anyone looking towards it, and they have to shoot it. And if you place it up high, you're aiming up there, now they have to flick to beat you who's trying to push out. However, if you do want to use it to near sight, I don't recommend throwing it upwards. I recommend throwing it down here. Why is that? As you can let me show you, and you can compare it to yourself the activation time for that near sight. You can tell when it activates. There you go, it's activated. That's the activation time. Now look at when it compared to when I throw it at the ground. Basically near instant. Which is still also good because you're able to still crawl the crosshair placement because they have to aim downwards, which is, again, not as effective as aiming up, but any type of advantage is a huge advantage. Besides, they also get nearsighted. Now, why is looking down faster? Because Reyna's Leer goes a set distance, unless if it is stopped by a solid object, such as the ground. It will always push out unless it is stopped by a solid object, which is why you can actually Leer past it. If your Leer is able to go through something, it will go through it. So that's why you have to pay attention on this little circle and where it pops out. Now, let's move on to her Dismiss and her Devour. First, I like to bind my Devour and Dismiss to my mouse buttons, to the side mouse buttons, so I can use it for certain things. Let's pretend I'm dismissing. The reason why I think it's important, first I prefer her Dismiss over her Devour, is because when I'm playing a fight, let's say I get a kill, I have the orb ready, I think the fight, you can hit the Dismiss button and you can swing out for info just to gather some info. And you can prolong the orb, so you have a lot of time to take a longer fight, and when you need to back out, you can grab the Devour and then do some jump strafe to get backside and keep yourself protected. Oh wait, I mixed it up. That's her Dismiss, not Devour. Yeah, her Devour, that's what you can use to I like to prefer to use, where you're just holding it off. Okay, take a fight, you get a kill, I take another swing, I miss my first shot, or I'm not able to get the first shot off, I quickly hit Devour, or not Devour, Dismiss, and I get the hell out. Her Devour, I would say, is only really useful when you're fighting it with somebody on site or a certain area that you're fighting over. Why? Because it actually does reveal your position, and it's not the best because let's say the the orb is there, the soul orb. When I grab it with the VAR and I hide between this corner, it's gonna cut off and I'm not gonna get the full overheal. That's just the truth of it. Now with Reyna's Empress, I would say this is why Reyna and I think Yoru are incredibly great in the clutch, because they have Yuto that very much favors them solo, because they could be anywhere and anywhere at any time. With Reyna, with her Empress, she has a much higher firing speed and a much faster reload speed and stuff like that. Additionally, she gets an infinite amount of dismisses. And why do I say only dismisses? It's because with Reyna's Empress, she's in Empress mode. When she takes that fight, if she gets the kill, she will immediately start healing. But here's another thing to state about her Empress form. When she gets a kill and she dismisses, she becomes invisible for while she in the duration of the dismiss. So you're able to pretend I'm invisible, right? As okay, I'm fighting for the takes. I'm fighting. I get a kill, I dismiss. I could dismiss and jump all the way here without them knowing exactly my position. The only thing they will hear is me getting out of said dismiss, but by then sometimes it could be too late. Again, not much to talk about with ISO, Reyna, and Yoru because they're just not that type of duelists. They're a different type of duelist. Now let's move on to my personal favorite of this type of duelist is Phoenix. I apologize for that cut right there. I had to do something for a couple of days. Something came up. Anyways, yeah. Okay, let's start off with Phoenix's kit. First of all, it says Blaze, which is a wall, and like every other wall in Valorant, it follows a projectile that's hovers above, and it will follow. The wall will display along the trail of that projectile, and just like a harbor wall. Phoenix's wall can be steered. How to steer it is just like harbor's wall is where when you press left click, you hold it down. You can steer it however which way you want. It's like that if you wanted to, and just as to reiterate, if you want a wall, let's say towards that end, you don't aim at this wall, you want to aim above so the projectile goes above and doesn't stop at it. But however, unlike a harbor's wall, Phoenix's wall does not, you cannot stop Phoenix's wall early by pressing right click. Now next this is by the way, each blaze wall costs 150 creds. You get one charge every round. Next, after that, you have curveball, which is Phoenix's flash. It's a curveball. It's a flash, just basically the same way how it's described. It's a curveball. When you equip the curveball, you have two options, left click and right click, and that will define in which way you will throw the flash. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this is the flashes. We have the left click. The left click flash, which will direct it to the left, and you have the right click flash, which will direct the flash to the right. I'll show you some tips and tricks later with Phoenix's flash afterwards. Now, it'll oh wait, actually, this should be an important note where the Duelist flashes actually lasts the shortest. Yeah, that's an important note which will be added. After that, you have Phoenix's hot hands. It's a molly that goes a certain distance before dropping straight down. As you can see here, it'll stop at a certain distance and then just drop straight down. Let me see. It drops a certain distance and then drops straight down. Yeah, it goes a certain distance and just drops straight down. It's a pretty it's a decent molly. Yeah. Next is, by the way, the molly will bounce off walls and ceilings. and it'll drop straight down just like every other angle. There's every other bounceable piece of utility. So if you throw it straight down the wall, it'll bounce. Well, back because that's weird. You throw it straight at the wall, it'll bounce back directly back at you. If you throw it at an angle, it'll bounce back at the next same angle but opposite. As very obviously say it there. Now next is his ultimate, Run It Back. Next, Phoenix's Running Back is honestly one of the weaker ultimates, but can have some really good uses. Phoenix's ultimate, Run It Back, is he basically creates an anchor point in which he can return to after the timer runs out. This is basically a free Valorant life. Any kills you get, any guns you pick up, any util you pick up, like Spike, you will get to keep. And your health, let's say you are, let's say 79 health. You're 79 health, and you use the ult, and you will remain at 79 health. But when your I guess running back dies, you will return to the spot and be back at full health. But you will not keep your shields, or no, you will keep your shields rather. I forgot they did change that a while back. Now, honestly, let's move on to the tricks you can do with Phoenix's wall. Or Phoenix's util rather. Now with Phoenix's util, it's I would say pretty unique in the fact that just like Sky, he does or Omen, he has an ability to do a little bit of everything. He's a very well-rounded character as he has a wall to block off sightline. So yeah, honestly, on Haven, you grab Phoenix and you wanna cut across here. You're worried about this sideline, or that's actually better yet. I think a better example is from short. You're worried about the sideline coming up from here, so you can throw your wall, and once the wall's up, you can cross safely onto site. And now this comes with the next util combo, which is his flash. Let's say comes to Phoenix's flash. It's a very basic but very good flash. After the Phoenix buffs, where the flash is basically an instant pop, it's very hard to dodge flashes like that. But it can be even harder by doing two types of different flashes. One is the Phoenix pop flash. The Phoenix pop flash is done by hugging the wall, like really close as you can. You must be touching the wall, and let's say you want the flash to pop out left. Instead of pressing left, you press right button. The reason why that works is because the curveball will bounce off the wall, and since it works like every other projectile in the game, it will bounce off the opposite direction and pop right here. Like, so you can see how quickly how quickly this deploys. It is lit. This is difficult to dodge. This is impossible to dodge basically, because as soon as it's out, it's gonna go off. That's why it's such a strong flash. However, here's another thing. Here's a thing I use quite a bit, is the reverse flash. Let's say you're pushing up into you want to push up into this spot, but you obviously can't flash to the left, otherwise you get blind. So what can you do? You can flash behind you. Okay, so let's say you don't worry about your teammates' backside and you just want to take a fight for so long. Instead of flashing around the corner like this, you can flash something like that. You can flash behind you, and as you hear, right click, you whip your head around so the flash ends up behind you, and you can do that. There's another type of flash, which is kind of a map flash. It works with Phoenix's wall. Basically, what you want to do is aim at Phoenix's wall. You aim straight down, and with Phoenix's wall, it will pop basically instantly as soon as it hits the ground. As you saw that there for a very brief moment, as soon as it was out, it immediately popped, which makes for a very great way to use Phoenix's flash for even more dangerous combos. With Phoenix's Molly, his hot hands, honestly, its main use for most of the time, if not for the Molly capability, which is where, let's say, it's only hiding in a cubby, you could toss the Molly back in there and clear it out, except for the close corner, obviously, is to just heal people. Oh, regarding the healing thing, it's because Phoenix's util heals himself, all of it. His wall, and his Molly, and his ult all heals him to a certain extent. and it's a very good way to use it, I would say, because it allows you to reset and re-engage a fight with more confidence because you have more health. Okay, now what else can we talk about? Oh yeah, well, when it comes to the ult, run it back. A very underrated way to use it, I believe, is when, let's say, you get tagged by Sova drone. When the first one hits you, when you see the second one about to hit, you pop the ult, so he will instead shoot your ult, which is your Phoenix runner back. They'll destroy it, and when you return your spots, you can. When you get hit, by the time you come back here, you're gonna be full health. Another thing is it's gonna be harder to time and assess if you're only gonna hit. But if you use an ISO, if an ISO ult gets used on you, you can pop it right before you get grabbed, or right before you're about to get grabbed by it, because it gives your teammates time, and you are unkillable. Nothing bad's gonna happen to you. Now since I'm done, honestly, that's all the agents, and since I'm done with all the Duelist agents, some of you are probably wondering what, there wasn't anything in this guide, there was nothing that I didn't know. Well, here's the thing, with full honesty, Duelist isn't the most complicated role. It's honestly super straightforward. The Duelist role is super easy to explain util wise, because nobody uses the Duelist for the util except for certain situations. You pick the Duelist because it excels at taking those 1v1 fights, or not 1v1, those setup fights for him. And on top of that, the Duelist role is not really dependent on depending on how good your util. It's more on the raw mechanical skill, unfortunately, of the player, and it's a player's IQ, you know, for reading. Okay, so this piece of util was here, that means they're probably holding from this angle, or the IQ to properly time their entries with their team so they can get the full value of the util, you know, stuff like that. That's where truly most of the Duelists shine. It's how they take those fights and how good how good they are when they take those fights. So honestly, I'm sorry to disappoint when it comes to Duelists. It's just that they don't really require much, you know, thought be put into. But what I will do is just give a summary of the certain playstyles you will tend to play with. When the playstyles you would tend to play with specific Duelists, with a solo Duelist in mind. If you're playing them as a solo Duelist, I will keep this in mind. Okay, so I'm gonna do this in agent order, basically, or no, agent. I'll do this in alphabetical order. Screw it, you know, right? First, you're gonna have ISO. With ISO, you're probably gonna play a slower game, and let's be honest, you're probably gonna die. You're gonna be the bulliest one for your team, so you're probably gonna die, and you're gonna rely on your teammates to trade for you. So it's a much slower playstyle. With Jett, you're probably gonna be playing fast and do those hard and fast executes where your team blinds for you and you dash into your smoke, so you can take those very easy 1v1 fights where they're, you know, blinded, stunned, whatever, scanned. With Neon, it's a heavy execute, it's fast. However, there's gonna be some setup time, so Neon can get in position to set up that wall, the stun lineup and whatnot. They're not just gonna run in like a Jett can, where a Jett can literally just run into the middle of the site, dash in, smoke themselves up while the util comes in. It's gonna be slightly slower when it comes to Neon, but it's all about just pushing and keep. When it comes to Jett, it's about pushing in all at once. When it comes to Neon, I would say it's more about tempo. It's like, okay, push, and then you control the tempo that way with your stuns and your wall and whatnot, right? Now we were Phoenix. Next is Phoenix, what I'm using right now. This is definitely a slower playstyle, but it's I would say when it comes slower, I mean it's more methodical due to the nature of his curveball. Let's say let's pretend here you're on a lobby. You're running up short. Okay, you're worried about this corner. You flash around the corner. You clear the corner there. You're worried about the close corner. You have your teammate. Okay, watch an angle. You throw the molly to clear it out. you clear the close angle, and then now it's like, okay, now we're free to enter site. You can look up, flash over the boxes, and you can easily enter the site pretty well that way. It's all about methodically, and then once you get up here, again, you can throw the wall up if you're worried about that angle. And now you can easily work up and cut off the space, and methodically you can be, okay, this is clear, this is clear, this is clear, that is clear, we're good. Now with Raze, it's all about, I think, speed. It's about speed, but not with the how fast you enter, but speed with the flow of the map. You know, like, you're able to quickly shift between playing fast and playing real slow. Why is that? Because Jett doesn't have an inherent dash ability. Her, as I mentioned before in the guide, is that Raze's satchels aren't only used for double satchels. Most of the time they're not. Most of the time you'll see a single satchel to catch up with somebody they're trying to get a pick on and whatnot. That's mostly what Raze satchels are used for. It's not the double satchel entry. So with the Raze, is again with the Raze, you're super dynamic and you're super versatile. That's what you get to get. Again, with Raze, same here. When it comes to your playstyle, we're very fluid. You can play slow, you can play fast, you can deny, you can push enemies out using the with your nade. You can force enemies back with your nade. You can force enemies out to peek you with the satchel. You can force enemies back with the satchel, stuff like that. Now with Reyna is honestly she's gonna be a super slow. Why is that? Because she excels in cutting off sidelines and claiming the space that the sidelines they cut off. And it's just the fact that Reyna has no movement utility, and her best, I would say, movement, if you can even call it that, utility, is her dismiss, which is mainly used to gather info and or get out of bad situations. So if you're able to get a kill with Reyna, and that's another thing, is that Reyna relies on getting kills to get much value out of the rest of her kit. And if you were playing slowly, that would be much easier instead of just running in and just going like, oh yes, I'm gonna do this, do that, because you're gonna be looking and clearing every single angle while you're swinging out. With Reyna, it's you're able to blind out, and you're like, okay, this is a spot I wanted to see, and this is the site I have to secure and whatnot. Now with Yoru's playstyle is honestly, again, it's not very defined, but it centers around deception. You want to condition opponents to believe certain things, certain plays. And I would say honestly, this is why it's also kind of difficult to decide if Yoru is an entry duelist or a supportive duelist, because of the fact that he can gather the space quickly. The teammates could could set you up for that, where you throw your TP backside and you throw a bunch of stuns, a bunch of flashes, and they can TP and get a few kills. I would say it's about those set plays with Yoru. You're about to do that set plays, you're about to be dynamic, you're about to be like, oh, am I here, I'm over there. It's all about tricking the enemy, deceiving the enemy, making them think you're not there when you actually are, and that you're there when you actually aren't, stuff like that. Sorry again if if this is just me rambling on about. It's just that it's hard to talk about duelists in an objectively smart manner just because of their nature. But don't be afraid to ask. If you want to be clarified, or if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask me on YouTube or Discord. I don't really care. I just want to help you guys grow and flourish as players. Anyways, thank you.